Welcome back to the Roundtable. I'm AwestruckVox, and the internet is a really weird place. With the advent of the Avengers Endgame trailer, we were bound to get countless of theories, different variations of theories, including a theory revolving around time travel. Because, spoiler alert, set photos greatly indicate we're going to see such. A theory revolving around time travel was inevitable to arise from this trailer. We even did our own that Ant-Man arrived in the future, something that I still strongly hold on to. Yet, for some reason, the theory that seems to have gained the most traction is one that I personally feel makes the least sense. That this footage Cap and Black Widow are looking at of Ant-Man is from 1983. Now, if you believe this theory, I don't want you to feel as if I'm personally coming at you, because at first glance, I can see why people believe it's 1983, but when you look at the bigger picture and how this would even work into the story, this theory falls apart relatively quick. So the reason many are led to believe that Ant-Man is in 1983, that he got sent to the past, is 1, Cap stating, "Is this an old message?" 2, the front entrance of the building does appear to be chained up, and 3, the most important detail, the top left corner of the monitor says Strat, some text, and then archive. Now this text in blue many believe to say 1983. And yeah, if you're watching on your smartphones, I definitely get that. But if you download and enhance on the scene, this clearly doesn't say 1983. In fact, it clearly makes out ISO3. Now, I can see mistaking the I for a 1, the O or 0 for an 8, and again, from a distance, you can see the S as a 9, but up close, you can see that's definitely not a 9. Another immediate thing wrong with this theory is the inclusion of Scott Lang's van, which of course contains a quantum tunnel in it. Yeah, if this was in the 80s, how would Scott have his van? I stated in my future theory that if Ant-Man got shot out a few years down the road, or even let's say a year, as the bulk of the MCU films do like to take place in real time, Infinity War took place in 2018. Endgame comes out in 2019, so a 1-year time skip at the very least makes sense to keep the timeline clean. Now, I know there is a quote-unquote official timeline out there, but can we all just universally agree it's BS? I mean, it says Black Panther takes place in 2017, despite the movie itself referencing that King T'Chaka died a week ago, so everything takes place a week after Civil War, which, even as stated by this timeline, takes place in 2016. Just like how Homecoming takes place a few months after Civil War. But also, riddle me this. A lot of people are saying, well, because he went back to the 80s, the Avengers compound is not yet the Avengers compound. We found out in the first Ant-Man that the Avengers facility used to be a Stark Industries warehouse. And that's exactly where all my problems arise. You're telling me that Tony Stark, billionaire playboy philanthropist Tony Stark, would renovate an entire Stark warehouse and not update the cameras? Or the fact that these cameras in the 80s would have color to it and would be in a high definition? I mean, we saw a security camera in Civil War, which took place in the 90s, and the quality of the camera definitely matched as much. Why would a camera in the 80s be this crystal clear? Stark Industries or not? Because if you want to ride up to, well, they're the Starks, they're geniuses, and they're rich. Yeah, if Howard Stark was able to create high definition cameras in the early 80s, he would make money off of it. It's a camera, that's harmless. Not to mention, I'm not really down with how this theory would portray Ant-Man's intelligence. I mean, the guy went to prison for pulling off heist. He's very observant. You're telling me Scott Lang wouldn't know if he time traveled? Seriously, he drove all the way from San Francisco to upstate New York, and you're saying he wouldn't notice? Maybe that his cell phone, if it's on him, doesn't work? Maybe that the radio stations would be slightly different? Or that everything around him, structures and all, would greatly vast from present day? Stores and billboards that he's used to in 2018 would revert back to 1983. And depending what route he takes to upstate New York, if he actually goes to New York City, he may notice towers that shouldn't be there. Yeah, that's kind of dark, but it's a fact. Not to mention, the Avengers warehouse wouldn't look like the Avengers warehouse. The A would be gone. Scott Lang has obviously been to Avengers HQ in the events of the first Ant-Man, where he briefly faced off against Falcon, which is how he initially knows the location of it in the first place. So not only is the theory suggesting that Scott Lang, someone who has proven time and time again to be very clever in both his solo outings, wouldn't realize that this is not yet Avengers HQ. And that's probably my biggest problem with this theory. Not only does it downplay the Starks, it downplays Scott Lang. And please, if you are someone who has stumbled upon this video that believes the 1983 theory, please answer this question. What would being back in the 80s actually accomplish? Beyond, oh, well, he can time travel. Now they know he's in a time period he shouldn't have been. Because yeah, Avengers HQ's archive is gonna go back from 1983 when this was a warehouse. I can understand that people were theorizing, oh, he went back to 2015, 2016, 2017. if he went back before 2016, as the Avengers HQ was established at the end of Age of Ultron, then perhaps he could warn the Avengers about the Accords, and create a timeline where they never split up. I don't think that's likely, but at least that would make more sense into the story. None of the Avengers are active as superheroes in the 80s. Now maybe this series is trying to lead into something like Ant-Man becomes a founding member of the Avengers, like in the comics, through time travel shenanigans, but again, 1983, this ain't it. Not to mention in the trailer, Black Widow and Cap are talking to someone, explaining that Thanos did exactly what he said he was going to do. Erase half of the life in the universe. Steve Rogers saying, we lost friends, we lost family. And I don't think they're talking to someone who already would have been in the room prior to finding that message. They wouldn't be saying anything people already know. They clearly had to be talking to someone who's uninformed of what happened. Either Captain Marvel or, more likely, Scott Lang. But also, Marvel has become prone to putting scenes in trailers that aren't there, that are fabricated. And while I don't believe this will be one of them, stranger things have happened. Again, I'm convinced this is not Black Widow's actual hair that'll be present in the final version of the film. It was either edited with CGI or shot with a different wig just for the trailer. Now, everyone wants to point out that this says Archive in the top left corner. But if you notice, next to Strat says ISO3 in blue text. Now, I looked into it, and Strat is actually a security system. It exists in the real world and was actually established in 1992. So I'm thinking it says Strat and then ISO3 in blue text because the ISO3 is the name of the camera feed they're looking at. So perhaps the backyard would be ISO4, ISO5, so on and so forth. And considering it was established in 1992, this also destroys 1983 theory. The Russos would definitely pay attention to something like that. But also, how come there's no blue text after Archive? Again, this could be due to Marvel editing the trailer, leading us into different directions and covering up what's really there. If there's going to be blue text after Strat, there should be blue text after Archive, telling us what day, month, and year is present on screen. This could feed more into the 1983 theory, but I believe this is because they're covering up what year. Because if they just had the month and the day, people could go, well, what security system will have that, but not the year? But if they remove it entirely, people won't have a second thought about it. Not to mention, why would it just say 1983 but nothing else, not the month or the day? And finally, the fact that Steve specifically asked, is this an old message, means that Avengers HQ has a message system that likely someone records the doorbell and then the camera takes a message, which is why Scott is talking to that camera in the first place. I don't believe a video messaging system would exist in the 80s, but also, if that message was just recorded and Scott Lang is right outside, it would make sense on why that would say Archive, because it's not a live feed. It was a message that was just taken, so of course it would be added into the archives. Also, I don't think anyone was just casually looking through their archive messages just for funsies. It was likely the system alerted them that they have a new message. They saw it, but because they believe Scott Lang is to be dead, a victim of the decimation, Steve's immediate rationalization is that perhaps the system is glitching up, that it's notifying them of a new message when it's an old one. When in reality, no, Scott Lang is at the front door. He survived. Now, at the end of the day, theories are opinions. It's what someone believes could happen. And I just don't share the opinion that it's 1983. And hopefully, after watching this, even if you're still adamant that it is, you can see someone else's point of view. When it comes to time travel and Avengers Endgame, of course people are excited. Of course people are going to connect any dots they can to time travel. But I truly don't believe he went back into the past. It's a different case entirely. But what do you guys think? Do you believe Ant-Man went to the past or the future, which would be the Avengers present? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts to me at AwestruckVox or at Roundtable Vids. We're also on Instagram. If you want to help the Roundtable grow, you can become a member of this channel or support us on Patreon. Get access to exclusive perks. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to get more Marvel content because guys, we have a lot. I'm going to go all in. We are going to make Marvel content a regular addition to this channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. AwestruckVox,